Today is Thursday, June 17th, and this is Headers and Footers, the brand new UEFA Euro 2020 show from the Toronto Star. I'm Brendan Dunlop. Day 7 of the tournament took us back to Copenhagen for Denmark's first match since Christian Eriksen horrifically collapsed on the pitch. You knew it was going to be a hugely emotional affair against Belgium for all of his Danish teammates, all the fans involved, and the Belgian players as well. Denmark could not have started this match any better than they did. They turned adversity into strength right off the get-go. They stunned the number 1 ranked team in the world, taking full advantage of a Belgian defensive error to score 98 seconds into the game. It's the second fastest goal ever scored at the European Championships. And Denmark nearly made it 2 before Belgium kicked the ball out of play in the 10th minute as a classy tribute to Denmark's number 10, Christian Eriksen. The Danes were in full control in that first half. They really were exceptional and had Belgium on the back foot. That forced Roberto Martinez to look to his star-studded bench. At halftime, Kevin De Bruyne came on. It's his first appearance on the pitch since fracturing his orbital bone in the Champions League final loss to Chelsea, you might remember. And you could just feel that Belgium was going to score, and you knew that Kevin De Bruyne was likely to be involved. Then Eden Hazard and Axel Witsel came on, reminding us just how dangerous Belgium can actually be off the bench. I mean, the options that Roberto Martinez has. Now, I said on this show that Thorgan Hazard would have a bigger impact on this tournament than Eden Hazard, so I feel quite happy that he got himself on the score sheet early on. Kevin De Bruyne playing a big part in that, and then Kevin De Bruyne putting himself on the score sheet, finishing off one of the best team goals that you will see at the international level. Really was impressive, as was Romelu Lukaku. Not on the score sheet, you will have noticed, especially if you've got him in one of your fantasy pools, but the Inter Milan star was hugely impactful for this Belgium side, and he will be for their attack going forward, which you got to think is only going to get better, Belgium's attack. The defense still needs to be better, but the attack is going to continue to improve. 2 wins out of 2 for Belgium, enough to put them through to the last 16. News today that Christian Eriksen will get a heart starter implant, essentially a pacemaker. Daley Blind actually has one, had it implanted 2 years ago when he was diagnosed with an inflamed heart muscle. And Daley Blind started for the Dutch in their 2-0 win over Austria today. Now, I'll get to that game. But if you looked at this fixture list and thought, 9 a.m., Ukraine versus North Macedonia, yeah, I'm going to sleep in on this one. If you did, you missed a great game. It really was entertaining. I mean, Hjore Bushan and Stole Dimitrievski, they put on a goalkeeping clinic. It was exceptional. The Ukrainian keeper made maybe the save of the tournament and then stopped the resulting penalty before Ishan Alioski scored on the rebound to put North Macedonia on the board. Then Dimitrievski stopped a penalty that really wouldn't have been given if not for a VAR check. I mean, I thought that was so harsh on the North Macedonian defender. Who wouldn't pull their arm up in that situation? I know it's the rules, and the rules keep changing when it comes to penalties, but it's just harsh for a team that really battled. Malinovsky had his penalty stopped, but I thought he was the man of the match for Ukraine. He'll be the player to watch going forward. How much longer Ukraine have at this tournament, I don't know, but good result. They did the business today. 2 losses means that North Macedonia's run at their first ever major tournament is over, but those fans can be very proud, as can everyone on that team. The program should only grow from this point on. The Dutch aren't playing total football, but they were totally in control of that game against Austria today. So I thought it would be a good time to get super technical since we're talking about the Dutch, and perhaps introduce some of you to one of the most entertaining and eccentric and interesting guys in soccer. You've seen him wear bright outfits on TV, on beIN Sports and CBS for years, so no surprise that he's brightly dressed today, albeit a little more casual. MLS Cup winning coach and MLS Coach of the Year, Thomas Rongen. Coach, I love talking tactics with you in our days back at Fox Soccer. Very happy to talk about your Dutch today at Euro 2020. Frank de Boer, so criticized for his 3-5-2 formation. Even his own brother Ronald doesn't trust him, saying that Johan Cruyff would be turning in his grave watching how this team plays. You played with Cruyff. How do you think this Dutch side is playing?
I mean, Frank de Boer has been a punchline since the epic failures at Inter, Palace, and even Atlanta United to a certain extent. And then you add the 3-5-2 to the whole mix prior to this tournament. And yes, some of our forefathers that invented the beautiful total football game, Clockwork Orange, starting with Rinus Michels and Johan Cruyff, and all the way through even Louis van Gaal the great teams with Frank Rijkaard, Gullit. It was a sobering fact to realize that this is the way Netherlands are going to play, and getting away from being a romantic team. Saying that, it's been not bad so far, quite frankly. It's a balanced team. Actually, the system works well. And I think his picks of wide players, I think, is where really the big success of the Netherlands lie. Whoever thought that Dumfries would be our leading goal scorer after 2 games, going up and down in that right flank, being dangerous consistently going forward, but helping also, if needed, to give that back 3 or 4 or a 5 look if that's necessary. You look at this team actually on paper, in every position, there's quality for big clubs in the world, and somehow he's got it done. So only time will tell, but I gotta say, Ronald Koeman, who stuck to his convictions against all that pressure, which there is, that in the Netherlands, and the results so far. I'm bullish on the Netherlands. I'm bullish on Orange.
I can tell by your shirt. In fact, I knew that you were going to wear that. So anyone who's seen you on BN Sports or CBS Online knows that the shirt I'm wearing is of the Thomas Rongen collection. That this would be one of yours. But it's it's been great to see the orange shirts back on the big stage. The 2014 World Cup, the last time we saw the Netherlands play. I look at Gigi Wijnaldum right now, though, who you mentioned, and Memphis Depay as being 2 of the key factors. It just seems like Gigi Wijnaldum is thriving as a captain.
Yeah, he's thriving not only as a captain, but he's allowed a little more freedom than he had under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. That plays a little more advanced. So good on the ball, obviously. Just behind him, you have one of the best passers in the game in Frankie de Jong. So they're able to go vertical when you centrally with Depay always being a threat. So this team is joyful to watch right now. I said before the game, can we keep the 0? After all, we allowed the Ukraine back in the game at 2-2. Responded well to go and win that game 3-2. Both games at home. Third one will be at home as well. So how would be fair traveling, going on the road? But you're right. Wijnaldum under the captaincy is thrived. It's the best I've seen him for quite some time, including great runs with Liverpool, obviously.
You made reference to the work that Ronald Koeman had done with the side in his time in charge of Holland, rumored to be bringing Memphis Depay to Barcelona. He's thought of as a failure at Manchester United, but this is not the same player that left Manchester United and failed there. How do you think he'll fare in La Liga?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys that come to mind, obviously, that go through certain spells off the field, which Memphis did at Man United. Learned a lot from that experience. Ate some crows, so to speak. Went to Lyon again, scored 21 goals, 12 assists, so double for that team where he's excelled for the last few years. And Memphis Depay, it looks like he's going to sign centrally somehow, which might mean take a page out of Chelsea. That plays out of a 3-4-3 right now with a floating 9, not a true 9 actually, because Griezmann isn't a 9. Memphis Depay is not a 9 either. Messi is clearly a 10. So it'll be very interesting to see if there's going to be a lot of fluidity and movement with and without the ball of that triangle up front in order for them to break down defenses.
There you go, triangle. I knew you were going to bring geometry into this. I wish I had the technology to do the graphics board and show exactly what it is we're speaking about. But I've always enjoyed the coaches speak with you. And I want to get your take on David Alaba. So versatile, but today against the Netherlands, he was in the center of a back 3 and he wasn't able to have an impact on the game at all.
No, well, I mean, you got to look at the coach, obviously, and say, based on the last performances to where he started also centrally in 3, went to the left of a 3, then eventually ended up more advanced on the left side, gives the assist on the second goal, which ends up being the winning goal. And you wonder, because Memphis Depay can hurt you a little bit on the break. Weghorst is not going to get behind you. So they didn't need the speed of Alaba. That's the excuse. I need centrally some athleticism and some speed. That's what David Alaba gives me. No need for that. So disappointing of Austria, disappointing tactically that they didn't, as I said again, put players in a position, including Alaba in midfield. Even centrally, he's such a great passer. Hit a ball from distance, by the way, that only went wide by a few inches. He can do so much more than just basically forcing him to play as a catenaccio sweeper and sweeping up stuff that other players can do as well. I think he'll thrive at Real Madrid as a center back there. There's a reason why Perez says, you know what, Ramos, sorry, you can move on now because we still have Varane and Alaba potential starters for Real Madrid next year. But brilliant, his versatility that also works against him sometimes, in particular now with the national team.
You mentioned Catenaccio, though, and I want to get your coach's take on Italy because I had my doubts about Roberto Mancini. And, we see quite often these very attacking-minded players, when they become coaches, they kind of become very conservatively defensive. Not that Mancini had totally fit that model, but you look at international management, so different from the day-to-day of club management. This Italian team, I find, is just playing incredibly beautiful. To quote someone on Twitter, not your no-nos football. What's your take on Italy right now?
The renaissance on the Roberto Mancini, my friend, you're right. They can high press you. They can break you down with 1,000 passes. They can kill you on the counter. Back-to-back 3-0 victories, which hasn't happened. 10 straight games he's right now without conceding a goal. 29 without a loss. That's the best run in Europe by anybody. If I had to pick a final right now, based on what I've seen, it's France versus Italy. And Italy, if Verratti is fit, we might even not talk about Locatelli. He might not even start in a midfield three. So he's got depth with Verratti coming back. He can rest some players as well. I just like the way they can do so many things differently than what we remember the Italian team was all about. It's all about Catenaccio. I wouldn't say proactive in defending, because defending they were very good. But basically we'll win games 1-0 late, which is fine. It's totally different right now. I've talked about being a romantic of the Netherlands. Right now, we'd like to put that jersey on Italy. Immobile scoring 4 straight goals. Couldn't score a goal for his national team. So things are falling into place. Their press is unbelievable, by the way. That front three works so hard. Jorginho sitting in there, never gets nervous, which allows Locatelli to really open up. I mean, look at the goal he scored. He actually played the ball out wide, goes 60 yards for the tap in as well, for them to go to 2-0. Brilliant display outside of France, because the only question is I'd like to see him against a better opponent, which Germany clearly was over the 2 opponents Italy played. I said France and Italy right now, and Holland closed third in terms of performances so far. So Mancini, well done.
You're forgetting a team that's very close to my heart, and a team that France will get to play before we get to the knockout stages in Portugal, my friend. I think that'll be the real test.
I'm telling you, man, on paper, Portugal is support cast right now. You're talking about Jota, you're talking about Bruno Fernandes, you're talking about Silva, you're talking about João Felix off the bench maybe giving you something as well. This is the best attacking Portugal I've seen. Not just a matter of how do I balance all of that. Looked good, pretty good in the first game. Only time will tell in that group of death.
Well, if Fernando Santos rolls out 2 defensive midfielders again, I'll give you a call for a tactical breakdown. It worked out against Hungary, though.
Even there, Johan Cruyff rolled over his grave when he saw that.
Watching that. Hey, let's end with a quick thought on England-Scotland tomorrow.
I'm not so sure. This is going to be a tough game for England. Because Scotland will be able to do something out wide. I think the fullback positions are still somewhat of a question mark. Who plays where and on what side, quite frankly. Inverted wingers we have now. We have inverted fullbacks too. If you look at Trippier, I'm looking forward to this. And if somebody can just give me a Bale, Ramsey, Wales kind of combination somewhere in the field, I'll be happy, because those 2 cats have been pretty good for Wales as well. And Bale showing that he's still world class, in my opinion.
We've all seen you on TV. We know you have enough Italian silk shirts in the closet. You can leave it there. You don't need to wear an Azzurri top.
Danny, by the way, I miss the TO vibe when it comes to the Euros, baby. You don't find the same thing in South Florida. I know you love playing, go to your different places and hanging out and seeing the flags and the cars, etc. Enjoy this. And hopefully we'll talk when we get to the finals.
Hey, and there you have it. I say it all the time. Toronto is one of the best places in the world to watch a World Cup or the Euros if you can't actually be in the stadium. So you, the coach, you just confirmed it for me. Fair to say that England v Scotland was one of the most anticipated games in the group stage when Scotland confirmed their spot in the tournament, winning the playoff. Gary Neville says that this is going to be an awkward one for England. I mean, all the pressure is on the 3 Lions here. They cannot lose to Scotland. While Scotland didn't score against the Czechs, they showed that they've got players that are capable of creating. England unbeaten in their last 4 against Scotland, but if you remember, the last time they met was a 2-2 draw in World Cup qualifying before 2018. That game 4 years ago now. Hard to believe. Today, Belgium and the Netherlands prove they belong in the conversation with Italy as the teams that could contend with the powers in Group F. Will England do the same tomorrow? When it's all over, you know where to come. Right here, Headers and Footers. Watch the show every night on YouTube or subscribe and download wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, thanks for kicking it with me.